Hello there. This is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority, with another Healing Matters podcast on YouTube and Facebook and live. And you can find me at jasoneagle.com. That's one way you can find me. strategichealing.us. Jason Eagle QRA on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. That's how you can find me. And here you are. You found me. Today we're going to talk about men's health. Now, I'm just going to tell you, today is not for the kiddies, not for children. So, and maybe even not for women. Now, women, definitely, you're welcome to hear it, but this is about men's health. And for sure, we're going to talk about some adult topics. So do not let the children be around if you don't want them to be involved. And but when you're talking about men and talking about men with boys and adolescent boys, men, you should have these conversations with your boys and your adolescents and your teenagers and your 20-year-olds and your 30-year-olds who are still adolescents, especially in this day and age. And this time in our life right now is the hardest for men. Men are being attacked, and men's health is being attacked. Men are dying ahead of time and have been since the modern age of a lot of diseases like heart disease and cancer and diabetes and things like that. Also, men in terms of sexuality, things like impotence, things like erectile dysfunction and things like that are rampant more than they ever were. And I'm going to go into what it has to do with and what to do about it. And how you can be causing it, how it's your problem and you created it, but also the world created it. And so we're going to talk about men's health. So men have a very specific types of needs. Now, I'm going to tell you, men and women are all humans. So this is all about humans. And I am in support about all humans. Men are women. Women are men. What are you talking about? And I'm not talking about the transgendered stuff. And that's one of the huge attacks. But it took a woman to birth you. And it took a man to impregnate you. So, and when you then impregnate somewhere else or get impregnated by someone else, that baby that of which you were that baby, you were that egg. At one point, you were both the sperm and the egg. At one point, you were separated between, and both the egg was both male and female, and the sperm was both male and female. It's not a male sperm, even though it comes from male. The difference between a zygote and a sperm or a germ is they're essentially the same thing. It's just, okay, when you get into the physiology, both men and women have nipples, okay? They're the same. Both men and women can get breast cancer. I'll remind you, Montel Williams was treated for breast cancer. Men can lactate. That's weird. Men can have, because we have the same parts, and it's all just hormones, okay? Men's have outies, women have innies, okay? A prostate, which is a solid organ with a hollow tube because the urethra goes through it, that's the same exact organ as the uterus. The uterus is just a hollowed out prostate because both of them are producing progesterone, also estrogen, testosterone. Both male and females need testosterone, okay? We think of testosterone as the thing that only builds up muscles and gives you that chutzpah and that libido. But, you know, women need testosterone too. Men need estrogen, estradiol, all this other stuff. If women's testosterone is out of balance and you got too much testosterone, they will get the hair. They'll get the hair on their chin. They'll get, you know, these different types of things. They'll get too many muscles. The women that become bodybuilders, if you've seen them naked, the vaginas and especially the clitoris will turn into like a penis. And again, look at the clitoris and the head of the penis or the glans penis. It's exactly the same. It's just one's a little bit bigger and one's, the testicles are the ovaries. The ovaries are the inside, the testicles are on the outside. The ovaries produce eggs, the testicles produce eggs with tails, okay? So essentially we are, and it takes two to make a baby, right? Now people can say, well, modern man, we have test tube babies and, that's manipulating things, but it's still, you have to have a sperm. And yes, they can basically get females to basically have, through science, you can do, but again, you're turning an egg into a sperm. It's very rare, and again, when you're talking about in vitro fertilization, you still need a man. A man needs a woman. A man needs a mother. A daughter needs a father. We need each other. We are each other. But I'm going to focus on men's health today, because as I will focus on women's health, okay, at some other tape. But so men in particular, our needs are different in terms of our foods are different. Now, let me also say, let's go back to this human thing. Each human, whether you are male or female, your blood type will dictate a lot of what you need to in terms of food. Now, we tend to think about, men eating more meat and women eating more salads. It's really true. Talk to any restaurant, talk to any health food store, talk to any grocery store. It's the women that buy the salads and the men eat meat, and again, one of the things that you could say to both of them is to the men, why don't you eat a salad, right? One of the greatest advice for men is eat a salad. And one of the greatest advice for women, eat some meat, right? Especially you get women that have basically low iron and things like that. They're not having enough of this iron they get from, yes, you can get it from beets, but we need a little bit of each other. But men tend to need lots of protein and digest the protein because of their muscle mass and because of testosterone. Men need testosterone, and it's not just because of the sex. Men need testosterone to make decisions. Our brains need it. We can get into the characterization of alpha males, beta males, gamma, all of these different types. And some people would like to say, oh, you got to be an alpha male, and the beta males it takes all types. It's all about balance. And whatever type you are, whatever blood type you are, knowing the type of foods that work better for you. And it's not all just, rule of thumb. There's, so for instance, a type O person is typically, like a type O male, is typically more of the carnivore. If you would kind of base it back to evolution, or basically just our ancestry. Evolution, people can say, there is no such thing as evolution. I agree. We did not evolve from apes, okay? But there is evolution because people develop, and as the human changes and influences, our genetics change. And so when there were more cave people on the planet, we were eating a lot more meat, a lot more hunter-gatherers and more hunters. So the type O tends to be more of a carnivore. However, a straight carnivore, we all need vegetables. We all need greens. We all need vitamin C. We all need things. The vitamin C that we desperately need to intake, type O tends to produce more vitamin C a little bit from more of the meats, whereas the type A tends to be more of a vegetarian and more dependent upon the vegetarian types of vitamin C and other nutrients. Then we get AB, we get B. B tends to be more balanced. That stands for balance, which is you can have a little bit of both, right? And the AB tends to be, you can do whatever you want. However, going back to men's health, men, especially in modern men need to, whether you're O or whatever, need to eat more vegetables, need to eat more salads, need to have more minerals, need to have more greens, need to have more fresh foods. So modern man that's used to eating just everything coming from, the store or coming from fast food or something like that, or Monster, I'll get into that, the Red Bull and Monster and what modern man has become compared to your grandpa or great grandpa. I'm sorry, man, it's pathetic. It's pathetic that you have to have a Monster Red Bull type of thing, your 5-hour energy just to do something. Like it's, I see all these workers out there and they live on this stuff. They live on carbohydrates. You are destroying your health. You're destroying your heart. You're destroying your testosterone. You are, again, it's pathetic. You should be able to, like the days, and again, when you talk about guys that do CrossFit and stuff like that, the measure of a really good CrossFit man is being able to work out on an empty stomach and then have some protein, especially if you want to lose some weight and gain muscle, okay? Now, there's the carb up and all this other stuff, and I'll get into that later. But, as I would say, is fresh is always better. There's a lot of men that kind of rely upon the women and other people to cook for them. That's pathetic. You need to learn how to cook, right? There's so many cooking shows and food is so available. And I'm not just talking about the barbecue. You need to know how to cook. You need how to, don't be a slave to other people preparing your food. Because if you're a slave to other people preparing, you get what you pay for and you get what you get, right? And there's a lot of junk. And if you don't have somebody there to prepare it for you, you're stuck. And you're stuck eating, a bunch of unhealthy, granola and meat bars and all kinds of other stuff. And yes, that's good to have that kind of survival food, but you should not be living on survival food. So men tend to need more protein, okay? Good, clean protein. Let's go back into, again, what modern world has done to us. Modern world, I'll tell you, has lied to us, especially to men. Has lied to men in terms of red meat is the worst. Now, okay, men have a lot of heart disease, a lot of cardiovascular disease, but I'll get into that in terms of red meat, whether it be beef, and we're talking about grass-fed beef. There's the cheap junk that is, basically the bad farms where they're fed lots of grains and they're feedlot stuff and they're shot up with hormones and stuff like that. Get some grass-fed beef. Also, hunter men that like the deer, that hunt for turkey, that get, ducks and geese and birds and stuff like that. Those guys that live on, and fish. People that, men should eat lots of fish too. There should be a lot more fish in our life. Now, I'm talking to American men. There's men all over the world that eat a lot more fish than we do, okay? So we could stand to get a little bit more fish in our life. But again, the meats that we focus on is don't be afraid of red meat. That's grass-fed beef, that's bison, that's elk, that's deer. The redder the meats, it's the same thing when you're talking about like fruits and vegetables. The darker, the more vibrant the color, the more nutrients are in them. That's true, okay? However, the lighter meats, whether, it be chicken and stuff like that. Now, in certain body types, like say a type A, it's better to focus more on fish and more on chicken and have less of the red meat and stuff like that because of just the way you digest stuff. The way that you digest is you produce too much acid. So gout is really, really common in a lot of men, and that's just too much acid. And yes, it does come from red meats. I'm not saying cut it out, but you have to have it in balance, okay? So, but again, the red meat does have lots more nutrients in it, but you pay for it, which is there's a tendency for it to be digested quicker, which means you can get more toxins out of it, more quick toxins, okay? Men need to be clean. Men need to clean their bodies out. Men need to clean their bowels out. Men need to poop more. Women have a tendency to poop more than men do because they sit down to pee, right? Men stand up and they tend to hold their bowels, and you can find a lot of truckers and a lot of guys that are, working, and they just hold their poop in there too long. And that becomes really toxic. And you get the guys with the big beer bellies. A lot of that is just poop. And so men need to keep themselves clean inside and out. Men need to take care of their mouth, take care of their teeth. We tend to, again, the worse you eat, the less minerals you have, the worse your teeth are. And tooth decay and bad teeth and rotting gums and bad getting root canals and things like that is a huge, huge risk for heart disease and cancer and all kinds of, and it's not sexy. It's not pretty. So clean your teeth up and see your dentist and take care of your teeth. Okay. Minerals. Men need lots of minerals. And so that's where we get into, if you want to go into the natural way, that's the greens. So finding a green. So Premier Research Labs makes these fermented greens. It also makes a green powder that you can put in smoothies. Men should get used to doing some smoothies from time to time, and juicing. You can buy juice or get a juicer. Juicing is very, very important in terms of getting lots of greens into your body. Now, there's other minerals, the pH minerals, which comes from seawater. Again, the best thing that you can kind of focus on is minerals. The more minerals that you get, that's what our body feeds off of. That's what our nervous system feeds off of, okay? So, but again, fresh fruit and vegetables are very, very important in order to get that into your body. And there's no substitute for that, okay? Men need exercise. Men need to move their bodies. Men need to be more flexible. Women tend to be in the yoga and Pilates, and men tend to not be. Men tend to be, pumping the iron. But I'm telling you, the guys that got the big muscles that can barely put a shirt on, can't touch their toes. If you can't be flexible, you are going to risk a lot of things. Meaning, you may be nice and big and buff now, but get 50 years old, 60 years old, and that those super tight muscles and inflexibility is going to ruin your joints, and you will be that grandpa that can't go up the stairs and can't go with the grandkids and can't go with the family, right? And even more so, this inflexibility, think about the inflexibility of also your veins and arteries and things like that. You can have high risk of through the atherosclerosis of having bleeds, internal bleeds, having aneurysms, having strokes, having blockages, these different types of things. So fats, good fats. Now, you'll see the women that are saying, oh, I do my coconut oil, I do my olive oil. Men need good, healthy fats. Need the olive oil, need extra virgin good olive oil, especially Moroccan olive oil, which is, it's hard to find, but you can find it. It's the best olive oil in the world in terms of, has the best in terms of eating up the cholesterol deposits. Coconut oil, sesame oil, these different types of things. More, even grass-fed butter and things like that. There's still a lot of kind of, is it good? Is it bad? It depends upon your body type, and it depends upon the quality of it. If you're talking about crappy butter, like Land of Lakes is crappy butter. I'm sorry, it tastes good, but it's nothing compared, like, say, Kerrygold or some good Icelandic butter. These are cows that are up in the mountains, that are in the glacial milk. Like, you can buy it everywhere now. So get better butter. It's not as expensive as you think it is, and it's worth finding and worth getting it into your life. There are definitely supplements that men can really, now again, knowing that men really tend towards have a lot more heart disease, a lot more clogging of the arteries, what should you stop eating? Stop eating the fries. Stop eating so much fried food. Stop eating so many wings and all this other crap that has got this bad rancid oils that turns into plastic in your arteries. And again, your arteries of your heart, but again, think about your arteries of your brain, okay? These bodybuilding guys that definitely get too inflexible, you can also, and the exercises that becomes too static, pick things up, put things down. If you don't know how to walk out in the woods and walk over a log, and you don't know how to do, manual labor type of stuff and dexterity stuff and stretching and flexibility stuff, your brain shuts down. So when we're talking about Alzheimer's and dementia and things like, or grandpa that can't remember anything, it starts when you're younger. It starts when you're teenage and middle age and all of this other stuff, okay? So, and it is foods, the more varied foods that you get. So some of the really good supplements are Deltanol. Deltanol is a tocotrienols. Tocotrienols are the vitamin E's, is one of the highest antioxidants, the highest antioxidants on the whole planet, the best of the best. We can get into some other ones that are really exotic, but the best of the best is number 1, vitamin C, and number 2, vitamin E. Delta tocotrienol, which is the Deltanol from Premier Research Labs, will keep you oiled, will keep you loose, is anti-inflammatory, will shrink swelling in the brain, will keep the blood flow in the brain, will also keep the blood flow to your erectile organs, to your penis, to your prostate, these different types of things. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is whether you're getting it in ascorbic acid or ascorbate acid, the synthetic forms, or you're getting it in the expensive natural forms, whether it be the liposomal, the really good liposomal. Get all of it, but don't shy away. You get the people that are the natural people, and I only want natural sources. Okay, but you're going to have to take so much of it in order to get that. So even just a good cheap old chewable or ascorbic acid powder, men should be used to be taking 1,000 to 10,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C. And sometimes you can do even more. But vitamin C is super important. Men that work out, or even working out by sitting at the desk, computer guys, right? That's working out, because take a guy who's working out on the trailer, and then a guy who's sitting at the computer, and both of them will say the first week, I don't know how you do it. Like, how you can sit there with your arm on that thing all the time. Like, that takes a lot of strength, and everybody's body adapts to what happens. But they're all using muscles, and the more muscles you have, they tend to get tight. And so stretching, I'll talk about that. But when we're talking about biochemically, we're talking about magnesium. Magnesium is super important. That's the third one. That's the most important one, is magnesium. When we're talking about the organs that are the most attacked in men, that would be the heart, that would be the prostate, other organs like the adrenal organs, these different types of the kidneys, they all, the things that break down in them, it always starts with a magnesium deficiency. So magnesium is super important. Potassium is another one that's important. A lot of guys say, well, I get my bananas. There's lots of sugar in bananas, and sure, have your bananas. But there is a lot of potassium that's in celery juice. And celery juice is very available. When you're stopping at the store and getting your stuff, get some celery juice and start drinking some juices and getting some celeries. There's potassium. You can definitely take it in some different supplement forms, but a really cheap supplement that is just pure potassium is cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is pure potassium, and you can take that and just put a little bit of that in some water. It doesn't taste very good, tastes kind of sour, but that's pure potassium, and that will get potassium into your system. Sodium, yes, you got to worry about high sodium levels. Okay, and that's one of the top things for high blood pressure. Men need to really worry about their high blood pressure. But sodium that you get from sodium chloride that you get from sea salt, men should be liberally doing sea salt. Get rid of the table salt. Where most of the bad, harmful sodium comes from is packaged foods and canned foods and your lean cuisines and crap like that. Start getting rid of that stuff. But sodium that comes from a good pink salt, like this, the Premier Research Labs makes this salt, which is a mixture of a Mediterranean sea salt and Hawaiian Alea clay. It's the best in the world in terms of for mineral, but then we get into Celtic sea salt. We get into, there's lots of, even Himalayan, I'm not a huge fan of that because all the metal that it takes to harvest it and stuff like that, you can get a lot of contamination. So my favorite salts are actually hand-harvested, air-dried, solar-dried Mediterranean or French salt that's done the old way where they rake them with wood and stuff like that. But sea salt is very, very important for getting our sodium levels. And people that have had problems, men go, oh, my doctor told me okay, let me remind you of something. Let's say a person has an accident. Let's say a person passes out. Let's say a person has a heart attack or something like that. You call the paramedic. Anytime an ambulance shows up to pick somebody up, okay, whether it's a car accident or whatever, When they go into that ambulance and they drive to the emergency room, and in the emergency room and in the room, somewhere, anywhere in that point, something's going to go into 100% of everyone's arm. A bag of fluid. What is that bag of fluid? That is sodium. Because many times when we are in a trauma, we already are very low in sodium, okay? So sodium is, if it's so bad, why is it used for everybody? Because that's what our nervous system needs. And when our blood pressure is too high because you're in a panic and you're burning through sodium like crazy, you're burning through minerals like crazy, getting the sodium level. Also, dehydration is one of the hugest things. Men need to drink more water. Men drink their pop, men drink, I don't like the taste of water. Okay, well then put a little drops of, put some, some lemon or lime or something like that, or a little splash of some flavor from like some cherry juice or, Montmorency cherry. If you got to put a little bit of flavor, but stop drinking so much pop, stop drinking so much Coke and Pepsi and Mountain Dew. Well, it's sugar-free, Jason. Well, I don't care. It's not water. Okay, and you're made out of water. And is your blood Mountain Dew? You don't want Mountain Dew blood. You don't want Mountain Dew brain, right? You need water. So men need to drink a lot more water. Need to focus on the water. And men that are working out, they'll carry their gallons. Like you look at the guys that are the college football players, whether they're on campus or whatever, they are required to carry a gallon of water with them at all times. Coconut water is also very good. Coconut water is a very good electrolyte. Yes, Gatorade is an electrolyte, but the newer types of Gatorades are actually coconut water. So go natural, man. The more natural you go, the better that you are. You will last longer. You'll be more productive in your life right now. Okay. When we're talking about men, men work out and men use their bodies, but men use their brains. Okay. So brains need to be maintained. The best thing for the brain is actually exercise. And we're talking about varied exercise. And one of the best exercises, the best brain exercise is just walking. Okay. A 20-minute walk, a good brisk walk. Let me describe that. Why? Okay. When you are walking, what we call bipedalism, it is the only time that the human being is using both sides of their brain at the same time. Because if you're standing there washing dishes or, doing the computer or, sledgehammer or anything, you always use, or math or drawing or talking or something like that, you're always using one side of your brain, okay? And not the other side of the brain. So most type of movements require more so one side of the brain and very little of the other side of the brain, okay? Whereas when you are walking, what's called bipedalism, we do what's called the gait pattern or the what's called the cross crawl, where so this side of your brain controls this side of your body. This side of your brain calls this side of your body. It crosses, okay? So when you walk, let's say you step forward with your right foot, you're also swinging forward with your left hand. It's the opposites. So that means the right foot is controlled by the left side of the brain. The left hand is controlled by the right side of the brain. So that means both, because they're both moving at the same time. And so the opposite arm and opposite leg swing together. That's the correct walking. That's why they call it cross crawl, because when babies start to crawl, when they're developing their brain, that's important for developing their brain, is to start crawling, is because that develops the brain and it makes the brain work together. So when a person is walking, especially walking an uneven, not just on your treadmill, we're talking walking outside, walking out in the woods and stuff like that, where you got to step over stuff and there's some uneven thing. It makes your brain constantly work. And when you're walking, this side does that leg and this side does that arm and vice versa. And so both sides of the brain light up at the same time. It's really the only time that happens. So your most prime amount of neurology, brain power, is used during walking. Okay, so walking is about maintaining your brain. Okay, you will be smarter in math. You'll be a fast thinker, this type of thing. Okay, but also, what are some of the other things that a brain can really develop their brain is nature. is sounds. So when you're out there, pay attention to the sights, the sounds, the smells, these types of things. These can really just keep your brain awake. Yes, do your math. Yes, men should be better read. Modern men, we've lost things like Plato and Socrates and all this other stuff. Men, should read the Moby Dick, and men should be acquainted with the Art of War by Sun Tzu, and also, these books and these ideas. They help to develop not only your brain, but help to develop your understanding of history. And if you want history to keep going better, then you have to know the history that happened before. Otherwise, you're going to keep repeating the same stuff. And anyone will tell you, if you don't know about Homer and the Odyssey, and if you don't know about Jason the Argonauts, and if you don't know that stuff, then you don't know anything now, and you don't know anything that's going to happen, because this stuff happens again and again and again. And so being able to converse with people, being able to really is being well-read. And well-read, sure, you can read stuff now, but know about the stuff of the past. Know the classics of literature and art and things like that, because it's not just about you're some artsy fartsy. No, we're talking about, this is intelligence. If you want to have a better deal right now, then you have to understand a better deal right now. If you want to be successful but don't be destroyed, then you better learn about Icarus, right? Dad made some wings for him and he flew too close to the sun and then they melted. Like you know these things. And also read the Bible. Learn the Bible. I don't care if you're atheist or agnostic. Learn the Bible. There's better history in that and all the history is in there. And I would also tell you, know God. Men need to know God. There is a creator. I don't care if you don't like it, then go to another channel. But know your creator and know the Christ, know Jesus Christ, that there is a creator and that there is a hero, and that hero of sacrifice and I don't mean sacrificing babies and stuff like that and sacrificing animals. I mean putting something ahead of you, because that thing that's ahead of you is you. Whether it be your wife, whether it be your girlfriend, whether it be your daughter, all this other stuff, whether it be other men, learn what it is to put other people, I'll remind you, this whole thing in this modern age, which has always been around, which is the top of the pyramid, which is you want to be that eye of the pyramid. You want to be that eye. Okay, good luck with that, because when you're talking about dominance hierarchies, and this is all, especially men, is about dominance hierarchies, which is, how do you get to the top? Well, you can scrabble, and you can hunt, and you can fight, and you can stand on shoulders, and you can destroy, and stand on the shoulders, and being king of the hill, right? That's how you get to the top. Okay, you're not going to be there very long. They're going to pull you down, because if that's what you had to do to get there, they're going to do the same thing to you, and they're going to pull you down and pull you off of that one hand on top of the other. Now, that's why I say learn about Lao Tzu and the art of war, which is be the bottom of the pyramid, which is the servant. You get a lot of men that are like, especially that start off poor and go, I can't wait for me to be rich, and then I'll have other people serve me, and I'll boss other people around. Have fun with that, right? The best way to become a leader is for you to be made the leader, where they pick you up and they put you on their shoulders because you were in the trenches with them, that you fought with them and you plunged the toilets. Nothing was beneath you because you were already at the lowest place, and you fought with your comrades and you protected them and you honored them and you did the right thing. And if you truly are the right leader, they will lift you up and put you up there, and they will protect you. They will keep other people from and they'll keep you there. So, back in the time of Plato and stuff like that, the true leader was not the guy that said, me, like, I want to be it. Like, no, douchebag. Like, you're not the person that we want. The person that you want is the one that's out there living a good life, successful on his own, being sovereign, going, I got this thing taken care of. I've got it balanced, and I'm good with other people, and I don't want to be around you. I want to be out here. They came after that man, and they hunted him down and saying, you will be our leader. And as soon as, he was finished with his job, he said, okay, guys, I'm going home, and I'm going back to my life. That's the leader. Now, not everyone can be a leader, right? But when we're talking about men, you want to support a leader, okay? So not everyone can be an alpha. There is a place for beta and gamma and all this other stuff, but know who to support and know who is the true leader. And the true leader is the one that leads balance. The true leader is the one that brings other people together. The true leader is the peacemaker. And yes, there's time to fight. So let's get back into what is that whole thing about this, whether it be testosterone and things like that, and getting your brain correct. Testosterone is built by physical activity and flexibility, so it's not just all about the big muscles. Better testosterone and balance of testosterone and estrogen and empathy, that's the best thing on the planet. The best man is a man that can be empathetic, meaning I can feel what others feel. That's the greatest success. And if you want to talk about just brute success in terms of super rich is people that make other people rich around them, that support other people, because then they'll give to you. And you don't do it to get, but again, if you want to do it to give, so that they give to you, you start by giving to them and then they give back. And it's just how it works. It's how it works is by supporting others. Okay. So back into this testosterone thing. Premier Research Labs makes a testosterone premium. Makes two products that actually helps to build testosterone. Makes another product called New Zealand Velvet Deer Antler that's shown to provide live stem cells, but also is a real testosterone booster. Pine pollen, you can get it in, like, say, a pill form, in a powder form. Pine tree pollen produces lots of testosterone. Standard Process makes another product called Simplex M, which is very good in terms of helping a lot of the minerals. When you're talking about men, you have to deal with the prostate, because most men are going to at some point have a prostate problem. But all prostate problems come from an infection. Same thing with heart disease and all kinds of other men's health problems is really a basis of infection. So one of the basic awesome infection fighters is men should be having lots of garlic. So alicidin and the Cardio ND is lots of garlic. Also, a lot of gut problems exist with men. A lot of that beer belly, that's candida. And so the oregano oil or the Biotics makes a pill called ADP. You bite them in half and swallow anywhere between 1 or 4 of them. That kills that thing. Men need to guard themselves about sugar, a lot of diabetes, high blood sugar, especially in the black community. A lot of black men have really bad diabetes. Part of it's the genetics. Part of it's, a lot of black men that live up in the northern climates, whether it be Michigan, Chicago, Minnesota, all these places. If you don't get enough sunshine and you're black, your vitamin D is so low, so you need to get more vitamin D. Getting vitamin D in a pill form, vitamin D3 with K2. Premier Research Labs makes a really good one. Keeping the vitamin D levels up, getting some sunshine. You can get one of these little bulbs called a UVB bulb. That's like a little reptile bulb. And we have a sauna and we put it in our sauna, but you can just put it in like a little outlet and just, close your eyes and don't look into it. But and especially in the wintertime, get some vitamin D. They do this up in the northern climates all over Europe, whether it be Russia or whether it be Sweden, Finland, all these places. That's part of when kids go to school, that's part of their everyday gym, is they stand in front of a light bulb. They stand in front of these UVB light bulbs that helps to produce, even the tanning bulbs help to produce the UVB. And especially if you're black or darker skinned, you really need to guard against that. But then also, so vitamin D definitely leads to low vitamin D levels, makes your high blood sugar even worse. But the darker your skin are, you definitely need to cut out the fried foods, not eat so much of that fried soul food, right? So go back to the fresher, eat those greens, right? But watch the sugar, okay? Now let me go back into here when we get into sugar. All of these men and boys, and I call them boys. If you're 25 to 30 years old and you're still drinking a bunch of Monster drink, Red Bull, because that's what you do on the job, shame on you. I'm sorry, but yes. No, I'm not sorry. Shame on you. Like, what did your grandma and grandpa do? What did great grandpa do? Like, they didn't have that stuff around. Yes, they had coffee, but they learned to do this by, and if you have to have that in order to get yourself motivated, and if you knew what it's doing to your body, right? Take Red Bull or take, Monster drink. It dissolves, like, it's better than an engine cleaner. Like, it dissolves your bones. It destroys your body. It destroys. So if you got to get this to get your, for instance, your adrenaline pumping, right? You're eventually going to get to a point, and there's a lot of guys that overdo it, young guys, and end up in the hospital, and you can damage your heart permanently. You can damage your brain permanently if that's what it takes for you to get it, get going, right? It's not a good idea. And if you're on it, you should even those 5-hour energy things. No, man, like, get back to the real world. Get back to what real energy is, real food. Start doing some intermittent fasting and learn what it is to skip some breakfast if you're the right blood type, or any blood type is, and again, if you have diabetes or you're pre-diabetic, you should start learning how to. I have fixed so many cases of full-on insulin-dependent diabetes by doing intermittent fasting, the ketogenic diet, and carb timing. Don't have any carbohydrates until after 3 p.m. That means that when you wake up in the morning, you don't get that pastry, you don't get that donut, you don't get that Tim Hortons stuff. If you're going to do just protein and fat and non-carbohydrate vegetables, that means you don't get the potatoes. Start doing that, and then start to see, after a month, you'll see what happens to your energy levels, and you won't need that monster stuff. You don't need that Adderall. The guys that are using the Adderall to be smart and all this other stuff, sorry, but pathetic. Shame on you. Like, you're a drug addict, right? And if that's you, and I'm sorry this is harsh, but men, we need this. We need to, what was it? Think about like 100 years ago when we didn't have this stuff. And look at all of the buildings that they built around us. Look at the walls, the stone walls that are still out there. They did it without that. Don't you want to be like that? Don't you want to be? And then the other side, the men like that had babies. You are one of them. You're one of those babies. If you are 30, 40 years old, you are a baby that was made without Viagra, right? How many men need Viagra, right? Now, I'm going to tell you another thing that's a huge, huge, dangerous thing for men. Pornography. Pornography will destroy your brain. It will then, and I can tell you, there's a bunch of men that are on Viagra that what they did is it was the masturbation, over masturbating, especially to pornography. And I'm telling you, if you understand the way that pornography is going, what AI has done to pornography, it's all going to go to tranny porn. You're all going to go to gay tranny porn, whether you know it or not. Right? And okay, if you're into that, fine. But like, that's not good for families. It's not good for you. And I'm sure most of you didn't set out for that, right? But that's what the algorithm is doing. You have to understand. There's a term called Schadenfreude, which means deriving pleasure off of pain, deriving pleasure off of misery. Okay, a lot of pornography, right? And especially if you understand the way that it's going right now, you're getting into cuckolding type of stuff. It's humiliating. This is humiliating to men, right? And men that started off looking at, like, say, just a regular woman, or even, a woman with clothes, it gets more and more, and it gets to a point of where, and there's a lot of women that are in this, but where did it start? Women didn't do this to other women. This was men that were doing it to women. But I'm telling you that it's a ploy to literally steal your brain, to steal your mind, right? And eventually it leads to where nothing satisfies, and you got to get into more, and then you got to take drugs to just even get it up, right? It's very damaging and very dangerous. And if you should start fasting from it. You should take it out. And wouldn't it be great to get back to life where you don't have to bust a nut just to get through the day, where you don't have to, I'll remind you of that movie, what was it, the Big Short, I don't remember, where, the guy that was the financial said, I got to get one off in order to, that's pathetic. He was also doing coke and all kinds of other stuff. It's pathetic. And, I'm not judging you, but I'm telling you, I've seen it. And I'm going to tell you, And again, this is for the men, and don't let the kids be around this, okay? Is a lot of what I've seen with men that have had erectile dysfunction and things like that. There's a lot of sexual abuse in your history. There's a lot of men, a lot of women too. It's happened to so many people. And we're talking about when you were a kid, when you're a teenager, and most of the men, it's men with other men, okay? So sometimes women abuse men too, you abuse boys as well. Sometimes kids are with other kids, right? This is just, it's common, you know, playing doctor type of stuff, right? But it can really mess with your brain. Now, it's not your fault, and there is healing for that. But without healing, what happens is it just starts. So there's a lot of men that because they didn't deal with that, it gets buried down. That's a lot of the erectile dysfunction, meaning I can't get it up with my wife anymore, and I need these tools, and I need this, and we need more, and we need the images, and we need to swing, and I'm telling you, there's no end to it, and it ends up destroying homes and destroying families, and it's never enough. And so start nipping it in the bud and start taking it out, and it destroys your heart. The heart damage. So even when we're talking about heart damage that has come from, let's say, atherosclerosis, which is the clogging of the arteries, your heart is an emotional organ too, and your heart can be hurt and can be damaged. And a lot of people that get into a lot more of, in terms of just more, promiscuous and other type of behavior, when you really get honest with them, something happened to them, right? And it's an acting out, and it never ends, and it doesn't fix it. But facing it, dealing with it, forgiving these people. I know it's hard to do, especially if you don't even remember it or you barely remember it. But if you got some of these behaviors, it's probably there or something like that there. And we can even talk about early exposure to pornography, meaning, nobody did anything to me, but I saw stuff when I was young and it damaged. When you get a kid that sees something before they are, whether it be some hidden pornography or something like that, or in nudity, all this other type of stuff, or seeing this behavior, before they're ready to deal with it, you can't go back. You can't take it. And it causes a dysfunction. So, and then a lot of times when people are having to do the Viagra, and again, when we get into even the prostate problems, the prostate is a sexual organ and a dysfunction. A lot of prostate cancer, we can talk about coming from the lack of nutrients and other stuff. But when it comes from something that's hidden and something that is damaged like that, I can't tell you how many men have been cured and have had it be healed with just some good therapy, some talking, some right supplements, taking care of the infection. And then the other thing I will tell you is a lot of men, now also women that get, like say, the prolapse where the uterus falls and the bladder falls. It's the same thing that's happening to a lot of men with the prostate and the testicular and even the erectile dysfunction, because whole thing about when you get an erection is the blood flows to there. So yes, it has a lot to do with diabetes, has a lot to do with your heart in terms of your heart being strong enough to pump it up there. But 9 times out of 10, what really the issue is because once the blood gets there, the muscles have to pinch off to hold it there. And the muscles are controlled by your pelvis and controlled by what's called the pelvic floor. And there's a lot of men that have very weak pelvic floor muscles. A lot of women that get the urinary incontinence, which is, they wet their pants. There's a lot of men that wet their pants too. I can't tell you, a lot of older guys that come here that smell like pee because they can't hold it, right? And, it's my prostate, okay? Go check out some of my earlier videos, especially the one that are on the Psoas. There's the Psoas 1 and there's the Psoas 2. There is a video that I posted on that, what's called Iron Shirt QiGong. It's done by this guy named Mantak Chai. He was very young at the time. He's still around. And he teaches these exercises, these 4 or 5 exercises called Iron Shirt QiGong. Iron Shirt QiGong, and QiGong is this different type of it that comes from the Shaolin monks. And it was taught to the Shaolin monks because they developed by exercising this muscle. They were then able to pump up not only blood flow, but airflow into, so that you could hit them with, let's say, a wood or a spear, and it would bounce right off of them. Now, it's hard to believe, but that's because they were developing these muscles, this core strength. And now, I'm not telling that I want people to be a Shaolin monk. I don't want, grandpa to be like that. But if you want your prostate and your penis to work, and as well as your bladder to work and not have to wet your pants all the time and wear those men's Depends, it's an exercise you can do. You can develop this exercise in the pelvic floor to learn to strengthen that up, and it pumps your kidneys, it strengthens and it recenters your prostate. It will then get you so that that's the muscle that is involuntary being used in order to pinch off the blood flow and hold blood into the penis. So you don't need that little band, and you don't need a drug to make it there and stay there, right? Wouldn't it be great to go back to being natural and have it when you're ready? And, and when you are ready, it's ready too. Wouldn't that be great? Because I can tell you many men that go, I still love my wife and I'm still excited, but it's nothing happens there. It's sad and I'm ashamed and I feel really bad and she feels bad for me and she feels like something's wrong with her or something like that. And I keep trying to tell her, there's nothing wrong with you, but it's me. So it's a muscle. It's also a brain. It's an emotional thing. It's a heart thing. So if people kind of lose interest, again, going back to that pornography thing, you lose interest because what was interesting before is because you've seen too much and you've experienced too much. And again, something, you can rehab it. So anyone that's become, let's say, a drunk or a drug addict and has to go to rehab, if they do rehab correctly and stay away from it long enough and then replace it with good, healthy things, then you can get back to the point where if it was the way you were made before, if it was exciting before, it's still there. And these other things will fade away, okay? And I will tell you too that this onslaught it's a spiritual thing, and it's a satanic and demonic and Luciferian thing. It's a huge attack. And if you understand, as I said, with what's going on with pornography and sensuality and all this other stuff, it's a program, but it's a spiritual program. Essentially, the AI, the algorithm, is hooked into this dark, whether it be the dark web, it's hooked into this dark side, and it's trying to destroy people. And I'm telling you, if you really understand what's happened to society, is you destroy the father and you take him out, you destroy the family. And then you create the mothers and the women and the children, and they're scared and they don't have anyone to protect them, and they don't have anyone and it all falls apart. And then they have to be strong and too strong, and it doesn't work. It doesn't fit for them. So the strong man needs to be strong again and needs to take back the family and take back the community, take back your heart, take back your loins, take back your brain, and get it. And in the name of Jesus, bring it back, because this country needs to be brought back, and it needs to be brought back by you, man. And men need to get a good night's sleep. You need to sleep with your mind being able to rest. So things like melatonin, the tranquinol, there's some benefit of CBD and other things in terms of being able to get brain chemistry and all this other stuff. But there's nothing better like the good peace of mind of a hard day of good righteous behavior and knowing you did everything and knowing you can just rest and just let the rest happen. And let God take care of the rest, and let your brothers come and help you, and your sisters and your family members, and know that you've protected them, and know that this country can be rescued by you. You can do it. You're enough to do it. What happens if you don't have your Red Bull? What happens if you don't have your Viagra, right? Would be great. What happens if you don't have your insulin? You need to be able to get this back without having all of these external things that, like, again, look at supply and demand and supply chains and stuff like that. You're not able to get it all. So fix your diabetes, fix your heart disease, fix these problems so that, and you can do it naturally. You can always call me. I can always help you with this, and there are answers to all of this. There's also some high-level tools that we can do to kind of hack this in terms of getting higher level functions. We can talk about, in terms of dreaming, we can talk about lucid dreaming. We're not talking about just having a good night's sleep. I'm talking about if you want control in your life, you can get control in your dreams, which gives you better control in your life. And if we could get control in your dreams, and if you could hook up in your dreams with other lucid dreamers, and you're not just alone, and we can lucid dream together and get together, oh my goodness, what could we do? Because what you do in the dream realm, you're still there. You are still doing stuff. Your dream body is a real body. You're a real person. And yes, it's good to dream and just let the dream take you away, because that's part of your brain rewiring itself and fixing what's, the damage that's been done through the day. But lucid dreaming is an exercise. It's a muscle that you can do, and we can develop this and learn how to do this. Okay? There's a lot of things to do, but men's health, men need to be healthy, and men need to be men. And men need to be people and for everybody, and be the warrior, but also the balancer, as well as the listener and the feeler and the empathetic one, that the perfect man of the velvet wrapped hammer, the velvet wrapped steel, can crush when it needs to, but it's soft when it needs to be, and it's just right at the right time. So this is Jason Eagle, your Natural Health Authority. Till next time, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. I invite you to press the like button because you liked what I had to say about your health, and also press the subscribe button to be able to easily find me and also be part of this. I look forward to helping you reclaim your health naturally.